Take a guess what my favorite cartoon is. It ain't Paw Patrol. Today I wanted to start a brand new series of videos where I go back and look over all of the original earliest episodes of my favorite cartoon of all time, SpongeBob SquarePants. So naturally, I'm going to begin where it all began, with the pilot episode Help Wanted. And we're introduced to the world of Bikini Bottom through this French narrator who continues to be in the show even to this day. This introduction is very simple and yet very effective in communicating the tone of the show, and you'll see as this episode goes on, every character's introduction is done perfectly and with only the bare minimum to tell you exactly what you need to know about them. Case in point, SpongeBob's introduction, where the narrator himself says of course he lives in a pineapple, you sillies, as if to suggest that anything else would be ludicrous. Here we're shown right off the bat that SpongeBob does everything with a smile, whether it's working out to get stronger or just getting up out of bed. Gary's also introduced in this episode, and again, the simplicity here is incredibly effective because the only thing he does is meow, but that lets us know what snails are like under the sea in this world. Then we get our first taste of Patrick, and all he does is pop up from his rock, wish SpongeBob good luck, and then he falls, which lets you know right away he's gonna be the comic relief. Our next character introduction is Squidward, and this is probably my favorite one of them all. We're shown Squidward having to clean the front door of the Krusty Krab because someone drew a cartoon of him with the word loser written above it and an arrow pointing down. Again, this is how you do an effective character introduction. From this one scene of Squidward cleaning up a cartoon drawing of himself that's meant to be an insult, we know that he's probably not the most pleasant person to be around, or else people wouldn't be making artwork like this of him. And it's also interesting how both Squidward and SpongeBob appear to be on the polar opposite ends of the emotional spectrum. When we're first introduced to SpongeBob, he's grinning from ear to ear from the moment he wakes up, ready to tackle any challenges he may face throughout the day. But Squidward? He's not having fun at all. He's moping and upset and frustrated. He's having to clean up a drawing where somebody called him a loser. This is certainly not a day that Squidward would ever describe as the best day ever. Then we get our last major character introduction with Mr. Krabs, and it happens pretty quickly, but if you pay attention, when Squidward runs in to warn Mr. Krabs about SpongeBob coming to answer their Help Wanted sign, you can see Mr. Krabs is smelling the money from his cash register. I mean, come on, if the guy is smelling $1 bills, then he's probably just a little bit on the greedy side. Again, when done effectively, you don't need to take an entire episode to introduce a new character. All you need is one scene, maybe even one brief moment, to get across key characteristics for this new individual that you want to introduce. And I think simplicity is a major strength for SpongeBob as a whole, because this pilot episode is literally just about SpongeBob getting hired to work at the Krusty Krab. What's the summary of the episode? Krusty Krab needs a new fry cook. SpongeBob shows up to take the job. They send him on a wild goose chase because Squidward doesn't want him to work there. They end up getting overrun with too many customers. SpongeBob shows up and saves the day and ultimately gets the job. That's it. It's just SpongeBob seeking employment. And as simple as it is, the comedy pulls it all together to make it highly entertaining. I've said this before, but I consider early SpongeBob to be on the level of golden era Looney Tunes writing. Yes, I would put some of these episodes up there with the likes of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck in terms of pure comedy. This is some of the funniest stuff you will ever see. And the thing is, a lot of these aren't even elaborate jokes that you would need to take time to set up or explain. They're just very simple visual gags sometimes, or just a clever line here or there. And the characters' voices fit them to a T. Everyone sounds the way you would expect them to sound. SpongeBob has that high-pitched, high-energy voice. Patrick's got that lower, more slowed down method of speaking that sort of contrasts the two. Squidward's voice is more dull and tends to be more emotionless a lot of the time, to contrast with SpongeBob's over-the-top emotion. And the choice to just give Mr. Krabs a stereotypical pirate voice while he's running a fast food place under the sea, it's just so good. Even the Tiny Tim song at the end of the episode when SpongeBob is saving the day by making these hundreds of Krabby Patties as it appears is just a perfect setup to explain who SpongeBob is and his entire attitude. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. That's SpongeBob. He's doing everything with full energy. He's going to do the best he can 100% of the time. This episode was produced in 1997 and wouldn't premiere on Nickelodeon until 2 years later in 1999. And here we are, just over 25 years later, and the little yellow sponge that lives in a pineapple under the sea has become one of the most recognized cartoon characters of all time. So what do I think about Help Wanted? I love it. It's a great pilot for this show. SpongeBob's official voice actor Tom Kenny, who I got to meet at a convention last year, even had this episode in a collection of his top episodes up to that point in 2009. So if the voice of the sponge himself is saying that this is one of his favorite episodes, then I think that speaks for itself. What do you guys think? Do you like Help Wanted? Do you think that this was a strong enough pilot to get SpongeBob off the ground for Nickelodeon? What would you have done differently if it were up to you? How would you have presented SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs if you could have made changes to the pilot? Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel, then be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also hit that big thumbs up button. You can also become a member of my channel, or if you feel like it, you can go over to my Ko-fi page and make a donation. Now, I'm going to go see if I can find a hydrodynamic spatula with port and starboard attachments and turbo drive so that the next time Wendy's does a big Krabby Patty meal, we can make things a little more exciting.